DeLuna Coffee has been fueling Florida and beyond since 2014, and now wake up Warchant. DeLuna Coffee is owned and operated by the Lemmix family, Ed, Courtney, and their son Brett. When not roasting the perfect coffee blends, these FSU diehards can be found tailgating near the Unconquered statue. Go and set your sights on their Lighthouse blend. Made of 5 different coffee origins, a combination of light and medium roasted beans creates this wonderful cup of premium coffee. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 for a 15% discount. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.
From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up, wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee.
Coffee's for closers only.
Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up? It is Wake Up Warchant. It is fueled by DeLuna Coffee, DeLunaCoffee.com. Come explore our world of coffee. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 when you head over to the website. That will save you 15% on your order. Also, check out the top of the screen. There's usually some BOGOs and other promotions running over at DeLunaCoffee.com. Let us know what you think about it. Tag us at Wake Up Warchant on the Twitter machine. Maybe we'll give you a shout-out. We'll read your comments about how delicious the coffee is, how it's changed your life right here on this very show. WarChant.com, ultimate Seminole sports source, promo code WARCHANT30. Thumbs up to you thousands listening to us on YouTube. I mean, literally, Corey, thousands. Listen to us. Just look at a picture of you and me blabbering. But they do it. And if you're on an Apple iOS device, leave us a 5-star rating and review. The menu for today, we'll talk hoops. We'll talk about freshman talking, and then we'll take your Renegade Express questions, and there'll be some cross-pollination between all 3 of those things. But first, let's bring in the heart and soul of this program with a U, Corey S. Clark. Corey, how are you, man?
I'm good, buddy. How you doing? You hanging in there, I hope?
Yeah, man. You know, Thursday was exciting. Little noon basketball action. Then we spoke to those 3 freshmen, Kanaya Charlton, Omar Graham Jr., and Legacy Aaron Hester, so that was cool. And then doing the podcast late Thursday for the Friday drop, it's been nice. Earning my keep, keeping my earn, whatever they say. Regulators, young guns, been doing that.
Has there ever been a basketball team that had such a disparity in atmospheres, the same at the same arena in a 48-hour, not even whatever that would have been, a 40-hour span as what we saw on Tuesday night? They play the number 6 team in the country, comes down to the wire, overtime, you win in the last second, the place goes nuts, they storm the court. And then a day and a half later, man, the band wasn't there. I think there must have only been 5 students. I watched it from up here in Atlanta on ACC Network Extra, folks. So, yeah, you know, I didn't even know that was a thing, I don't think, but it was cool. They were there. I watched it on ACC Network Extra, and I feel like there must have been only 5 students there because they kept showing the same 5 people. There might have been 1,000 people in the game, at the game total. It was a noon game. It felt like an exhibition. For all I know, and we can get into that a little bit, half jokingly, it might have been an exhibition. Like, I feel like there's a chance maybe there was something worked out ahead of time. Like, you better not, we'll pay you your money. You can come play us, but you better not beat us. You're 4-14. Man, just, it was crazy to sit. I don't know how much you saw, but to go from what it was Tuesday night to Thursday when there's 1,000 people there, no students, no band. Just a bizarre, weird scene. But hey, man, a dub's a dub.
Official attendance 2,088 according to Florida State, 86-73 the win over UNF. I to your point, I'm not gonna sit here and shame the students. They turned out on Tuesday and it was amazing, but I just can't imagine the group text message on Wednesday night or Thursday morning like, "Hey yo, y'all want to go grab some beers and watch the basketball team at the arena?" Who says no to that? It's January. Nobody's got finals. There's no midterms coming up. There's no big. I don't think KD are having their hayride or whatever this weekend. I can't believe there weren't more students out there. But I don't know. Maybe everybody was spent from Tuesday and they're limiting their social interaction. But what a bizarre sort of turn it was to see that place just erupting Tuesday and then become an absolute library on Thursday. Before we talk about the game, I did watch it. I got mostly most of the second half. I don't want to say we glossed over this on the show for Wednesday because we didn't even mention it, but to go back to the Duke game, what was it, 13 overtime wins in a row? I mean, we didn't even mention that's how emotionally spent we were after that one. But, yeah, what an incredible sort of turn they've done here, Corey. 5 in a row now. So do we have like a newfound belief in this team? Should we have been patient this whole time? Or is this a little bit of, I don't know, just maybe we shouldn't get too overly excited? I mean, how do we assess this 5-game winning streak?
Well, first off, Thursday didn't add anything to it. Like that was just that team was 4-14. They went 14 of 24 from 3. North Florida did, and also made 5 free throws on 6 attempts after Florida State fouled 3-point shooters. So Florida State from 3-point, and Florida State only made 3 3-pointers. So keep in mind, North Florida made 14 and also made 5 free throws on fouled 3-pointers. So they outscored Florida State from 3-point shots 47-9, and they still lost by 13 points. Like, they shot as well as they have all season, still lost by 13 points. Malik Osborne didn't play. Raekwon Evans barely played in the second half. Caleb Mills had a long stretch where he didn't play in the second half because it was like Hamilton was just letting the Quincy Ballard play. Prieto came in again. My man, I think, was like a plus 12 or a plus 10 in 12 minutes. The guy is just a plus-minus machine. So, no, I think going back to Tuesday is obviously the much bigger deal. And, yeah, man, 13 overtime wins in a row is nuts. They already had the record, and they just keep adding to it. It's not right. It's not normal to win. What you wonder about if you're a Florida State fan is, man, when's the law of averages going to come out in this thing? Like, not only are they going to lose an overtime game at some point, they are due, just because this is how sports and stats work, they're due to lose like 6 out of 7 overtime games. Like, this is an incredible run that they're on. And also, I thought it was funny, they made kind of a big deal about the fact, at least on ESPN they did, about Leonard Hamilton now has the record for most wins versus a ranked opponent as an unranked team. And I was joking with a buddy of mine, is like, because Leonard now has 55, which is, it's a great accomplishment. He beat Bob Knight. But it's like, that's one of those kind of slap in the face compliments. Like, you're pretty for a fat guy. You're handsome for a really fat dude. Like, how many of those wins does Coach K have? 3? Right. Like, his team's always ranked. He doesn't have a lot of shots to beat a ranked team as an unranked team. So it is cool that Leonard wins games that he's not expected to win a lot. And he's obviously, in my opinion, a Hall of Fame coach. I just thought that was a pretty bizarre stat. But, yeah, man, the game, I don't blame the students. It was bizarre. It was just, the whole thing was weird. Like, why did they even play it? Why did they play it at noon? They obviously didn't want a crowd there, because why would you schedule it at noon? Was that the only way North Florida would play it? Was if it had to be at noon so they could get back home? None of it really made a lot of sense. It was treated like a glorified scrimmage and practice, and that's kind of what it was. But hey, man, like I said, a dub is a dub. You're right, that's 5 in a row, and now they're 12-5, and they got to go play Miami on Saturday. That's going to be, my opinion, that's going to be a much tougher test, Aslan.
I mean, the Osprey didn't just go. I mean, they didn't. We weren't just carrying them for 40 minutes. They made it a single-digit game late in the second half and put a little bit of a scare, but they were able to pull away. I guess just for me, Matthew Cleveland, growing up before our eyes, goes 21-10, 27 minutes. And then Caleb Mills, 8 of 12, 21 points. I mean, and we're still not getting really maximum production on Anthony Polite either. So I'm hoping like we hit some sort of floor with what this team was going to be, and now we're just on a total upward trajectory, and we'll be feeling even more excited about this team and what they can do next week and the week after. Although I don't know, maybe Miami's going to be tough, and if they lose to that, maybe everyone's like, I'm not gonna lose my hope and optimism if they fall against Miami, because that's a tough matchup on the road against a good team. So. But yeah, I mean, just interesting to see where we'll be in a month from now, because I think we'll feel markedly better than we do right now. That's my last thought on basketball.
Well, but I think we feel pretty good. I mean, they have won 5 in a row. It's just, you look at the team and you're like, okay, Malik didn't play. Malik hasn't really been Malik for the last 4 games, honestly, because he's been hurt. Even the Duke game, he had a nice game. He didn't. He missed a bunch of open threes that would have been daggers, but he rebounded well and defended well, and they certainly missed him on Thursday on the perimeter. But like a guy like Cameron Fletcher, man, gave them nothing on Thursday. He gave him a couple of buckets on Tuesday, but that is a guy that's still untapped. Worley, in my opinion, is a little bit still untapped, and Cleveland's Cleveland. He's just a freak. Again, I think he went 5 of 9 from the free throw line, or 4 of 9 from the free throw line. But he did. What I was worried about is like him losing his aggression. That wasn't a thing at all. But I was texting Ira and half joking with him, like, man, just if you watch the final 5 minutes of that game, it was so bizarre. Like North Florida's down by 8, and it would be a crushing loss to lose to a team that's 4-14 at home. A crushing loss. And the 5 on the court for Florida State were like Wilkes, Ballard, Worley, Cleveland, and maybe Prieto, maybe Polite. Mills was on the bench. Evans barely played. Osborne didn't play at all. It's like I was joking with Ira. It's like, did they have something worked out ahead of time? Like, all right, man. All right, coach. We'll give you your check for coming and playing this game. You're not going anywhere. Your team's 4-14. Even if you win this game, you still got to win your tournament to have any chance. We can't lose this game. So if you come up here and promise not to beat us, yeah, we'll come up here. We'll play at noon. We'll play at 9 a.m. We don't care. We only have the band there.
We'll play at Tully.
We'll have the craziest home game in recent Florida State history. But if it's late, buddy, you better not go to Hackett, Cleveland, or you never get to play us again. And we're not going to give you the check. The whole thing was, from start to finish, it was just such a bizarre game. But they got through it and they won, and that's all that matters.
Florida State back in action, as Corey said, Saturday against Miami. Before we get into the Renegade Express Thursday, we also again spoke to a trio of freshmen on the football team. Bourbon is your friend. Posted 2 questions in the Renegade Express. This was simply a comment towards the end of it, but he postulates, this is Dave. I said that word already this week. Figure something else out, Aslan. It's Dave in Bardstown, Kentucky. He says, is it just me, or is Kanaya Charlton going to push Robert Scott for the position of most naturally hilarious and likable person on the team? Corey wrote an entire story about him. Yeah, man, I love this kid already. Out Trench Talk, Kanaya and Bob and Salon. That's all I want, Corey. That's all I want.
I mean, it was nuts. Like, that guy, I mean, and he's an offensive lineman. He wasn't really that highly recruited. He's from Brunswick, Georgia, right? Not from a huge football factory. It's not like he does a lot of interviews. He couldn't have done a lot of interviews in his life. And he was talking to us like we were part of the family. I shouldn't say us. I didn't ask the question. He was talking to you guys like you were part of the family. He's just so natural that I think Brendan from 247 even asked him, like, what do you want to do after football? The kid hasn't even played a down of college football, and we're already asking him what does he want to do when his career is over, because his personality is so, overpowering in a good way. Just like he could be an actor, he could be a comedian, he could be a wrestler. He wants to be an astronaut. He'd be a scientist, whatever, man. Or a cook. That's what he said. He's either an astronaut or a cook. He would be by far the biggest astronaut that's ever lifted off this planet. I don't know that they make them like that. I think they might. There has to be some sort of size limitations for astronaut, right, Aslan? You can't just have a guy 3 bills sitting on the top of a rocket, can you?
I do think there's limitations inside the fuselage. So yes, Corey, there has to be limitations.
So I don't want to kill the kid's dream. Hey, we all got a dream. I hope he makes it. I hope he makes it to space. Maybe he goes up with Elon. But yeah, man, I thought that was really, really exciting. Might not be the right word, but yeah, I guess it is. Hopefully, this guy will be around for 4 years, and he will be a go-to. We need to do something with him. He's already got one NIL lined up, I guess, with a gym back home. But yeah, he definitely. Maybe not this year because he's a freshman. He's probably not going to play. But 2023 and beyond, maybe we have. It doesn't even have to be trench talk. We could just go out and eat buffets with him or something, or go walk around campus with the kid. Like just go watch the video, folks. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just he's so at ease, and he's a naturally funny, insightful, energetic kid. And he was insightful. Like he was insightful in a way that 4-year seniors aren't insightful. So yeah, that was it was cool to see.
It was just honest and candid. It was refreshing just to speak to a human being that spoke back to you like you were a human being having a real conversation. Nothing rehearsed, nothing in my head. This is what I'm supposed to say. Although love Alex Atkins. He loves him too, but maybe the anecdote he shared about, that Alex Atkins is just a different kind of guy. He loves him. He's very unique in that when he was being recruited, Coach Atkins told him, hey, man, like you're not good. You're terrible. And he was like, I was all about that. That was really cool. Like, I want to get better. Maybe let's not offer guys and tell them that they're awful. But again, like for him to be able to laugh it off and tell us that story just shows you how good of a sport he is. Listen, man, there's guys out there.
That was the problem with? Do you think that was the problem with Travis Hunter? Is that Woodson was like, dude, you suck. I don't see how you're going to play for us. He's like, I guess I'll go try the FCS level. But I think what he was like, Atkins knew what he was doing. I think in that instance, some kids can handle it, some kids can't. And he basically, with the point that Aslan was saying, it wasn't like he didn't just say. I think the direct quote, he's like, yeah, he told me I sucked. He goes, you're terrible at what you play, but I can make you better. So that was the selling point there. And again, he was not recruiting. That I think he probably had a different selling point to Julian Armella, right? He probably didn't tell that kid he sucked. The 3-star from South Georgia, not getting a lot of recruiting love. Maybe you're a little more, and the kid can handle it. And also want to go back to something you said right before that is like it is very refreshing to talk to somebody that just is engaged and insightful. But I also don't want to hold that too much on these players, man. Like, number one, it's hard. I mean, Zoom meetings are tough anyway. And you're talking to 5 guys you don't know or 8 people you don't know. And it's a weird, awkward setting. So maybe most these other guys might be more open up if it was one-on-ones and we were in person. But with this kid, it clearly doesn't matter. He is just a ball of personality, a big ball of personality.
Go check out the interviews. We also spoke to Omar Graham Jr. Says he's going to probably start off as an inside backer, which, I mean, when you're running a 4-2-5, I mean, is there an outside guy? I know, they move dudes around, but that's that. And then Aaron Hester, legacy out of Jacksonville. Love for the hometown guy. DeMarcus Walker's a guy that he grew up watching. He had a lot of love, a lot of reverence for the 2013 program he spoke about. So that was cool because we talked about being a legacy, and you thought maybe he would be, filled with nostalgia from his dad's era, uncle's era. But now, man, he's got a lot of contemporary. He likes the contemporary Noles, with the old uniforms, though.
I kind of liked him. Now, he was not nearly as wordy as our man Charlton at all. But he kind of reminded me of the Winston Wright from West Virginia in the sense that he just says what he feels. Like he doesn't elaborate, but he's honest. I thought anyway, and he kind of seems like a no nonsense kid. Wasn't overwhelmed by the moment of having to talk to these 8 guys throwing questions at him. And he said he's going to start out as a defensive end. He's already gained 10 pounds of muscle. Is what he said, which is crazy in like 3 weeks or 2 weeks, or he thought it was about 10 pounds of muscle. But yeah, him talking about the 2013 team, it just makes you feel old. I am old, but like to me, the 2013 team in some days feels like yesterday. And this kid is talking about going to all the games as a 10-year-old, and now I cover him. Bizarre. But I'm sure I'll be covering Rashad Green's kids one day, and I'll be like, man, I'll tell him stories about his dad. Like, you wouldn't have believed your dad in 14, man. He was awesome. I don't know if you've seen the film. But, yeah, it is cool that, unlike Miami, who doesn't have anything that current players have reverence for, at least Florida State, it's been a down half decade. I get it. But at least they got the 2013 that still can resonate a little bit with kids that were old enough to be sports fans.
Well said, Corey. Real quick to touch on it, I mean, it's more of a national story, but obviously affects everybody in college athletics, obviously including Florida State. The NCAA, I guess, is a kind of a 2-part process they're going through to ratify a new constitution. Sounds like step 1 passed quite easily. I think over 80% of the members voted in favor of this part to ratify a new streamlined version of their constitution, where basically they're going to decentralize a lot of this stuff. Indianapolis, NCAA headquarters, doesn't want they don't want to be the pauper. They don't want to be the king of this kingdom any longer. They want to kind of push everything back to the member institutions, and then each division, whether it's Division 1, 2, or 3. But Corey, I guess the dominoes are starting to fall. So I don't know. We feel very, at least I do feel a sense of anxiety for what this sport is going to look like in the next 3, 5, 7, 10 years. It's just the more we go to NIL and the more this becomes a really big determining factor for kids to attend colleges is going to be a bit of a bummer. And we don't even talk about it from the basketball aspect of things. We're so focused on football right now. But maybe this is I don't know, cooler heads, or maybe just at some point with all this back and forth, all these meetings, all these hearings, changing this rule, changing that rule, there has to kind of be some consensus on making this like a practical, sensible, viable, sustainable model for, the betterment of everybody. Like, they have to reimagine college sports. And unfortunately, it's going to involve kids getting paid a lot more money than we ever knew. They were still getting paid, but we didn't know about it. That's going to be part of it. But it sounds like they're at least, maybe we do need to blow this whole thing up, and maybe this is part of it.
I mean, yeah, I think this is probably the first step, but neither one of us are smart enough to know what the next step is when it comes to this, or what it should be even. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. We've talked about it at length in the last 2 or 3 weeks, last month really anyway, is like, yeah, we're all skeptical and worried and concerned about the future of the sport and if it is sustainable. Hopefully the people that matter more than we do are more concerned, and we'll figure out a way to save the sport from just eating itself. I saw a tweet, I think, from Andy Staples, who's a fine writer. I didn't mean to say that dismissively. He's a good writer and a good college football reporter. Played college football at Florida as a walk-on, but has been in the sport since the 90s and really loves the sport and knows the sport. And I guess he was on Feinbaum talking about how the only two conferences that matter right now are the Big Ten and the SEC. Every other conference is expendable. And while that might be true, I just hate it. What are they going to do? Is it just going to be a two-team power? They just going to be 25 teams, and that's it for college football now? I mean, the other conferences should matter. I get that right now financially they don't, but it sure would be nice if somebody again was like, you know what, we should make all these. It's good for the sport when they all matter. So anyway, I don't know what this clears up. I don't know what it frees up. I think it's going to be less governing. I think each division now can come up with its own set of rules, and then we'll see what Division I's rules are. I mean, I think the two things that they have to figure out ASAP, well, 3 if you want to throw playoff in there, but the 2 things ASAP that we all know is the portal. Is it just going to be like this forever? Are there going to be some, I don't know, some governors, some limits? And then the same thing with NIL. That's stuff that I'm sure they will address, but who knows what they'll do? Who knows even how it gets voted on, how something gets ratified? We'll see, man. We'll see. But I guess the main crux of it is that the NCAA will bow out and be a little bit less regulatory. Look, it had already lost its teeth here in the last few years anyway, but it'll even be more so now with this new their vote to amend the Constitution, right?
No, I think
is that what they did, Aslan? Who can know, man? Who can know?
Yeah, right. No, they're trying to create an entire new one. So, everything has changed. I mean, like the laws. I mean, there's laws. I mean, there are bills going through state legislatures involving college sports. It's incredible. It's wild. But again, I think this is just, if anything, just to let you all know that a change is coming, is a brewing. But we don't exactly know what it's going to be yet. But I don't know. Maybe in the meantime, let's maybe see if the SEC wants to keep expanding. Maybe see if the Big Ten, maybe this alliance is going to be something. If 2 conferences matter and we're not one of them, because that sounds like a bit of a bummer. What's not a bummer, Corey? The Renegade Express. Let's hop on some ponies. Let's take some questions.
One day the guy on the buffalo wing was riding around in a forest. Wait, hold on, man. It wasn't a buffalo wing. It was a buffalo he was riding. No, I'm pretty sure it was a Zaxby's buffalo wing. And he was eating a new buffalo garlic glazed boneless wings meal from Zaxby's. It sounds delicious, but it wasn't a... Yeah, it was a guy on a buffalo wing. Well, now I'm hungry. I'm heading to Zaxby's. Guy on a buffalowing.com. Yeah.
And don't forget to listen in for the Zaxby's indescribably good Player of the Week every Monday on Wake Up Warchant.
Spartan Noles 71. It's Ralph in Hawaii. Aloha, guys. How's it? Greetings and salutations. Cannot deny I am feeling really optimistic about this offseason given what Mike and the Mechanics are putting together for the upcoming year. What's your favorite Mike and the Mechanics song, Corey?
I was going to say Kyrie Elizen, but I think that's Mr. Mister. Kyrie Elizen down the road that you must travel.
It's just Kyrie.
That song, you know that at all? I don't think I sang it well enough for you to even recognize it.
No, I did. It's Kyrie, though. It's not Kyrie. I don't know what you're saying. It's just, anyhow. Mike and the Mechanics, I think, is...
be quiet.
All I need is a miracle. All I need is you. All I need is a miracle.
All I need is a miracle.
That's right. The other day on the Collins Show, many war chanters were talking about New Orleans. Got me to thinking about game tickets. A few months back, I asked if you knew of any plans for the university or private business to sell tickets for a designated FSU fan section or something along those lines. I will be happy to receive any info War Chant can obtain. As always, love what y'all do. Go War Chant, oorah! Maybe some sort of, for the Notre Dame game back in 2018, we had partnered up with a travel agency that created this entire package where they put you up in a hotel, they transported you from Chicago to South Bend for the game. Pretty sure it also included a game ticket. I don't know if maybe we'll have something similar to that. If not, Corey, just like any other neutral site game, there's going to be like a designated LSU and Florida State section. So it's just a matter of figuring out what sections those are and then buying a ticket in that area.
Correct. And yeah, I wouldn't know how to answer it otherwise, but get a ticket. Come on, it'll be fun, man. Everybody that's listening to this, don't let it be 80-20 LSU. I mean, when was the last time Florida State played in the Superdome? When was the last time? The Fabian Walker, Anquan Bolden game?
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
So 20 years ago? Come on, man. And before that, they went every other year. Like, they went 7 times in 9 years, and it got boring. It's not boring anymore. The novelty's back there. The novelty's back on. So yeah, I there will definitely be, like, I'm sure, like a Florida State booster event. Maybe even War Chant will have one so at some point on a Friday night or Saturday night, Saturday afternoon, wherever in New Orleans. Maybe we'll take over a bar or 3. Maybe just take over Harrah's. Maybe take over the craps tables. Something. But anyway, we'll be there for sure. And yeah, I don't think they've even released season tickets yet, Aslan. In fact, I know they haven't because Stephanie was talking with fellow pillar Shane, and I don't think he's gotten his season tickets yet, or at least not the ability to. And he's a pretty big level booster to even get those, even the ability to buy those tickets yet. I don't believe. So, by the way, I looked it up. My favorite Mike and the Mechanics song is "The Living Years." It's about a relationship with a dad, I think, and so it hits me a little closer. Do you remember that song at all?
If I heard it, I'd probably recognize it within 5 seconds, but
you want me to sing it
please,
real quick?
Please.
I don't think I can hit the note, though, but it's like, say it loud.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Oh, say it loud.
That's it. Uh-huh.
Say it clear. You know that? You remember that one?
Say it to me.
With his hand as well. Yeah, good. Man, you guys are getting your money's worth today, folks. You didn't know there'd be singing.
Let's go to the next question. It is Island Chief. Wake up! It's in italics. I had to. And an exclamation mark. Ham has certainly developed this team and has them playing with some confidence. What a difference that can mean to a player and a team. Believe. Football. Penn State. Their coach turned us down. No biggie, I guess. I think that would be Jawan Sider for the running backs. He's currently running backs coach. They were saying, I think maybe running backs co-OC was what he was offered. But hey, at least we're not Miami. At least we have an offensive coordinator. They're just swinging and missing on everybody. I think they wanted Kendall. Kendall Brow said, nah. They wanted Jason Candle, like the Toledo head football coach. He's like, nah, I'm good. So good start down there. Good start, Mario. Way to go. Question, though. Do coaches report that they are not leaving a program or passing on a job to gain status, to stick it to the school offering, lock in a recruit? We weren't openly pursuing him. Why not keep it on the down low? Same for these OCs turning down offers from the U. Oh, there he goes. I don't know that I would go after a guy who was going to broadcast turning down the job. There's just so many people involved in this sort of stuff, though, Island Chief. It's the agent telling the reporter. It's the booster getting the phone call, can you give us the money so we can hire this guy? And he's telling his buddy, who then tells the person that's on the message board. I don't think it's like a braggadocious thing where like, hey, man, Mike Norvell called me, and I was like, nah, bro. I don't think that's the way it works. So if anything, I mean, you said about, is it to gain status? Maybe to gain some, additional money, leveraging jobs. I would see that sort of stuff. But they're too close in the coaching fraternity. They don't want to show guys up. It's usually other people involved in leaking this stuff. At least that's my belief, Corey.
Oh, yeah, well, 100%. It's driven by a way to make money. Like, and that one was a little different because that one wasn't really known until after Atkins had been hired, right?
Yeah.
Usually the way it works is there's these names being dangled, and then all that does is work out for an extension or a bump in salary for those guys to stay at Penn State or stay at Florida or wherever, North Carolina, whoever you're looking at. Those were just random examples, by the way. Florida State, I don't think, was looking at any of those coaches. But I think that's the name of that's just the sport, though. Like, most of these guys at one point or another have got, if they're going to be at a Florida State level for any extended period of time, will get a raise because their name is out there as a possibility as a coach somewhere else. And I'm quite positive that Kendall Briles got it, I don't know, 100 extra, 100, extra 200, 300 to stay at Arkansas, as opposed to, like, I don't know how seriously he was even thinking about going to Miami. But the play there is to make him think you're serious, and then you get a few extra $100,000 in your bank account.
Yep, absolutely. That's how it goes. Got lost on a tab. Hopping back to the right tab. Seminole life. Wake up, boys. Seeing us beat Duke at home like that made me reminisce about my undergrad years. In 2006, my buddy and I were at FSU versus Duke and rushed the court. We actually got to do it twice because, unfortunately, we jumped the gun. Was I? No, I wasn't there for that. I remember something similar, like maybe against like North Carolina in 04. I don't remember. Anywho, having had some very low years in football, that will always go down as a top in-person FSU sporting experience, an absolute blast. So here we go. It is the offseason, Corey, the go-to question. What is your top in-person FSU sporting experience? Go Noles. The national title game is going to be tough to top, 2013. If I had to make a case against
take that one off the table.
Okay.
Take that one off the table. It doesn't count. You can't choose FSU Auburn.
Okay. I would probably say then 2003 Florida in the Swamp. Just beating them in that fashion, in that place. And I know it was a pretty inconsequential game. I think they had already wrapped up the ACC to go into the Orange Bowl later on that year. But anytime you can beat Florida is just amazing. And in that place, and it was raucous. I mean, when Kejuan Ratliff returned that scoop and score fumble, that place quite literally, I think, shook. So shutting them all up, again, I've said it 10 million times. I'll say it as many times as you keep asking us this question, everybody, every single year, which is fine. I get it. But like walking out of that dump and being able to chant, it sucks to be a Florida Gator. It's just like right in their faces. And you can just see them, like, again, grabbing their children, like moving away. Look at this crazy man. Don't look at him. Don't look at him. Keep walking, son. Brings joy to this heart that's been hollowed out by the last 3 seasons. But we'll get back there.
I remember my dad. I didn't go to the '93 game, the Ward to Dunn game, because I went to the Notre Dame one, so my sister went to that one. And I remember after the game, my dad called, whenever, no cell phones back then, Aslan, so we had to wait till he got to the hotel, which was 3 hours later, to call and celebrate. But he said on the ride home, they listened to the Florida, post-game show. And one of the callers called in and was like, I know that was a disappointing loss. We had them on the ropes. But I tell you what, I've never been more proud of our fans because as we're leaving the stadium, all you hear is this chant of it's great to be a Florida Gator. And my dad was like, those hillbillies weren't saying anything. It was all the Florida State fans saying it's great to beat a Florida Gator.
There we go.
So, you took it a little more vulgar. Yeah. And when it sucked, you added the word suck. Back in the 90s, it's a little more, it's a gentleman's sport.
Yeah, well, I had to call.
And they just said it's great to beat a Florida Gator. I'm going to stay away from football completely. There's just too many to count. For basketball, man, I'm telling you, man, the There have been a couple Duke games, including the one the other night, just because it had been so long since you'd felt an environment like that. But we went through COVID for 2 years. Even this season, they hadn't been playing well. Duke K's last game, whether you agree that the students should rush the court or not, because this program is above that, it was like a catharsis. It was cathartic for people to celebrate like that in unison again at a Florida State sporting event. So that one, the Louisville one from 2 years ago, I mean, that was just, I still get tingles thinking about that place, just the roof blowing off it. And then, I wasn't there, and I'm not just saying that. People might roll their eyes at this. I wasn't there, so it shouldn't count. But that diving play that Jessica Warren made in the softball championship 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, that's such an all-time unbelievable play. It's got to be one of the 5 best plays in the history of that sport on that stage. Just incredible. So there's a lot to choose from, but I guess from the ones I'm at recently, recency bias, I'll say the big basketball wins are really fun, man. There is nothing like an energetic, amped up, down to the minute, and there's a lot of them in that place, crowd, and that Civic Center gets loud, man, and that's a good team, and they've won a lot of good big games over really great opponents. So those always hold a special place in my heart.
What about, real quick, what about Baton Rouge 11's last year to make it to the College World Series? You were there, right?
I thought about that too. Not only that, but the bludgeoning they had in Athens against that Georgia team that was a national seed, and Florida State just beat the bejesus out of them 2 games in a row. And then to go to LSU, yeah, man, that was really special too. That was one of the all-time special ones because, they barely got into the tournament at all. And then it's his last year, and then he goes and plays it. I don't think he'd been there in 30-something years, 35 years. They don't lose there a lot. And for them to go with that team and kind of sneak away with 2 wins to go to Omaha in his last year, that was really cool, man. That was really fun to be there for that too. That's good point, Aslan. That's up there as well.
All right, man. Yeah, just gotta tee you up every now and then because you tee me up all the time. Bourbon is your friend. It's Dave. Everybody's back. This is an original question from days ago. Do you think schools will allow corporate sponsorships for their NIL programs? Imagine it. Rising Spear, sponsored by Levitra.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you could have I don't know, like Jordan Travis and Micah Pittman sitting in that tub, like the Cialis commercials.
Yeah.
Just kind of facing off in the valley, sitting in their tub. They're getting $100,000 a year to do that. There's a lot of possibilities. Man, who knows where this thing goes? I know that was kind of a joking question, but I don't see why not. I don't see why McDonald's wouldn't sponsor our McDonald's. What Zaxby's? Well, we don't want to give them any ideas.
I don't know, but do you want to alienate? Do you want to alienate a whole bunch of people? Like if Zaxby's decides to give Florida State players all this stuff, and then we see all these. But then you wouldn't do like a national televised spot with Bryce Young, or maybe you can just do local stuff. But yeah, I mean, if Home Depot starts giving Georgia players all this money to hawk, Ryobi drills and stuff, then Florida fans and Tennessee fans are like, screw that, we're going to Lowe's. So there's a little bit more, I think. Hopefully this will maybe keep a little more local. Maybe it won't get too out of control because there is the whole, business aspect that they have to consider these sponsors.
Is that a thing, though? Like, I hear you, but, like, do Bears fans not get State Farm insurance because of Aaron Rodgers?
Listen,
I feel like
I don't drink Gatorade. So, yeah, man, if somebody comes out like, Enterprise Rent-A-Car is like the official car of the Florida Gators, and they're giving all this money to Florida Gator players to come out there to go to Gainesville play football, I will spend $9 more a day to get Hertz. I mean, I would.
You're right. And you're a big OJ fan. You're old school Hertz. You go back to the 80s with that guy. Real question from Dave. I think the LSU game is an amazing opportunity for us. We have way more continuity. We are a program on the rise, and it really helps. We have Duquesne this week prior to practice. It really helps that we have Duquesne the week prior, to practice scheme and real tackling. See UCLA versus LSU.
Yeah, I think that was LSU's first game of the season, and it was not UCLA's. The only way to prove the ACC can hang with the SEC is to win these in-season interconference matchups. No one cares if the SEC loses the bowl game because they assume the SEC team wasn't really trying. P.S. The world's tallest tree is a giant sequoia that stands 379 feet, 13,000 feet in terms of the panda climbing a tree, must refer to elevation of land above sea level, not the height of the tree. Noted. Thank you.
We figured. I think in real time we figured out that there's probably not many trees that are 13,000 feet. That would be what a flight hazard that would be. I love the Duquesne game. I've been banging this drum forever that it's. I guess I get why they did it back when they scheduled all these things, but you do not do your team or your program any service by scheduling a big time game to start the season. You just don't. It doesn't do what's the I guess the upside is, hey, you might beat Alabama, but the reality is you're probably not going to beat Alabama, and it might derail your season. And you're always upset a week into the season, 3 hours into the season. Well, you're Georgia. Like, here we go again.
Georgia took down Clemson.
At least now you're going to be 1-0. You're going to have seen some new guys. You're going to have seen some touchdowns. They will feel good about themselves that they would, hopefully, let's put that out there, let's knock on wood, that they win the game comfortably against Duquesne. It'll be, they'll just feel better about themselves going into that LSU game. Does it help them do they beat LSU because they beat Duquesne? Of course not. But it does give them just a little ounce of self-belief that they probably wouldn't have had otherwise.
Well, hey, Georgia beat Clemson. That was a gamble. Had they lost to Clemson, they lose to Alabama, the SEC championship game like they did. They're not playing in the national title game. But hey, man, no.
Do you think, by the way, that looking back in hindsight, that was a great time for DJ Ungalele. Sorry, I messed up his name.
Uwe Ungalele.
To make his first or second career start was against an all-time great defense. What if they had started with the Citadel? Maybe he has a little bit better year because he doesn't start the season with a horrible game, and right away, the fan base is wondering if he can play and what's wrong with him. And it becomes the whole story. It becomes the whole narrative of the season. If they'd opened up with Citadel and won 41-6 and he threw for 250 yards and a couple touchdowns, even if he didn't look great, he'd still feel a little better going into that Georgia game. I don't know. Probably doesn't make a difference, but I do think there is something to maybe not opening up a season with a loss every year.
Absolutely. XDQ004, wake up! I like what I'm hearing and seeing from the Noles this offseason, but I'm not ready to join Aslan on the 10-win bus. But I can see the path to it. I believe our defense is going to be the strength early, with the offense really picking up the pace around Game 4. I don't know about that. We will finish with the second-ranked defense in the ACC and a top 30 defense nationally. Man, Adam Fuller's not making $1 million, everybody. You guys are really expecting a lot out of my guy. The offense will start slow but finish in the top 40 nationally. Wow. We will accept the bid to play in the Gator or Cheez-It Bowl, and we're going to win it. We will finish the season ranked as the 20th best team in the nation. You heard it here first. Here's his question, everybody. Where is your favorite vacation spot? Mine is Aruba, he says. Support the great sponsors and go Noles. Corey, feel free to talk about your favorite vacation spot or Derek's highly, highly bullish look on the defense and Florida State overall.
Yeah, but it's not it's not like he said they'd be top 5 in each. I would be surprised if they're top 30 in both, or I guess I wouldn't be surprised if they're top 40 in defense. If they were just, if they're around what they did this past year, and the offense if the offense takes the kind of step this year that the defense took last year from 2020 to 2021, if the offense can take a similar step from 21 to 22, then yeah, they probably are a top 35, top 30 offense. That's a significant step. So hopefully it happens, man. Hopefully it happens. Hopefully they average 34 points a game and win 9 games, and we're all going to a New Year's Six Bowl. I don't know that I have a favorite vacation spot. I don't really go to places more than once or twice. I don't know. I like Savannah. I like Charleston. Okay. But I've only been to Savannah twice, I think. So it's not like something I go to every year. I assume you have one. What's yours? You like to get to Utah and go skiing?
Oh, yeah. I'd like to creep on the Yellowstone filming of the show. I like how you said that, though, because when I hear, like, vacation spot, it's kind of like, somewhere that you go constantly. But, like, when I go to New Orleans, like, I don't know, it's usually like on a weekend. And, like, I don't, when I think of vacation, I think, like, a week and a half, like 10 days, like, you're just out of pocket, totally immersing yourself in the local culture, if you will. I love New Orleans. It's my favorite American city. Like, I love going and hanging out there for a long weekend. My brother's 40th a few years ago. He went. That was amazing. But I don't know. I'd say maybe like the North Beach, Clearwater Beach. That's like, I don't go home for 10 days any longer. But, like, when I do go home, like, it is important for me to go to Clearwater Beach. Like, I absolutely love Clearwater Beach. It's my jam. So I know that wasn't really exotic or whatever. I mean, I've been to Bali once. That's my most fun trip, but like, I'm not going to go back there more than, I don't know, maybe one more time in my life. So way to qualify it, Corey. Appreciate that. Let's go to Naples. Speaking of the vacation life, it's Mark M. Adam CZ. Wake up, Corey. I hope your taste comes back soon, full strength. I had a similar experience, and it sucks. I couldn't tell the difference between orange juice and bacon, other than texture. Ooh, talk about that, Corey. That doesn't sound fun at all.
Yeah, it's slowly but surely. Like, some days are better than others, which is weird. But I'd still say it's about 30% on each. This is probably a little too much to share, but I don't care. Brady doesn't listen to this show. On Thursday morning, I took him to school. I got home, realized that maybe he had done some damage in the bathroom and didn't flush it. But I didn't realize it from my olfactory systems. I just saw it. I didn't smell it at all, which is like, okay, this is never coming back, which maybe isn't the worst thing in the world when it comes to that. For that example, for instance, that was probably too much information. I don't care, folks. I'm an open book. Brady doesn't care. He probably, for all I know, he wanted me to talk about it, because why else wouldn't you flush it? Doesn't make any sense, Aslan. It's been he's a teenager, and anyway. But some days it's stronger than others. Like, I can, I tasted my meal on Wednesday night, was fine, and then Thursday I had a little bit of breakfast from a restaurant and barely tasted it at all. So it comes and goes, and I guess this is just my life. So good times, fun times. Again, like I said, I still got the senses that matter most are still intact, but it's pretty annoying not to be able to taste and smell things.
I can't imagine. It's what it does, man. It's the sense of taste. Not having that just affects. Like eating's a pleasurable, enjoyable thing. It's part of the whole battle for the new world, right? Spices and such. Which, by the way, like, imagine what they were eating in the 1200s, 1300s. Before all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, but they tasted all that.
Yeah. Watch Last Duel the other night.
Luckily, my Mick Ultra still tastes the same.
There we
if
go.
That matters to anyone.
There we go. Mark continues, with a quarterback like JT Daniels from Georgia, from Southern Cal before that, looking to transfer. What are your thoughts? Aslan. I always want to say Adam check. Mark says, for me, I'd rather see A.J. Duffy push himself to be ready and push Jordan for that top quarterback spot and be the guy if Jordan comes out of the game. And Tate has so much freaking talent, the light has to come on at some point, right? Tons of talent in the quarterback room already, or do you think it's worth bringing in a high-talented transfer to see what happens? Then he also asks about Cobra Kai. We'll get to that after Corey and I talk about this one. Yeah, man, it that sounds great on paper, Mark. Like, and I love your optimism. Like, keep that going at all times. Be the lighthouse for us all. But we gotta be a little bit reasonable too, though, right? Like, I don't know, AJ Duffy. It's hard to think that AJ Duffy of all true freshmen is going to be the guy that can, like, push your incumbent 3-year on college campus guy and be like the crucible that forges Tate to finally come out of his shell as well. But again, we've been talking about this. Like, how do you market yourself to a quarterback? You can't spook out Jordan, and then you can't spook out the transfer out of him. Like, hey, if you want to come and hold this guy's clipboard, by all means. Like, we got a really cool city, and there's a lot of good-looking people. Come hang out. Cost of living, pretty affordable. but I would like to think there's somebody out there that brings some panache, to steal a word from the Irish O'Fell vocab. Yeah, they got to bring in a transfer with experience. And I know I don't want a Hornibrook. I want more than a Hornibrook, so I'm kind of flirting with the spook out Jordan Travis thing. But Corey, you said it, man. You can be cognizant of Jordan's mental state when it comes to competing and getting things taken away from him in his mind. But man, like, you have to win football games. You have to position yourself as best as you possibly can for success. And it would be crazy to go into the season with a true freshman backing up Jordan Travis, and then a guy that in limited action has just looked very overwhelmed, unless he turns some sort of miraculous corner over spring football. But I even think then, Corey, like, you still can't forget how Tate's looked in some situations in game.
Yeah, I mean, I would say there aren't many of those guys in the portal where you'd be like, absolutely come, we'll take you. I do think JT Daniels is one of those because, yeah, man, you do care about your players. You don't want to hurt their feelings, but at the same time, their feelings. You got to win games. You don't win games on good feelings and good tides. You win it by talent. And JT Daniels, unlike those other three guys, and look, man, he hasn't proven much. He left one school. Now he's left another school. He was the starting quarterback for the number one team in the country and then got hurt, which he was hurt last year too. But you've watched him play. He is a NFL type thrower of the football. Stands in the pocket, has a big arm, sees it pretty quickly from what I could tell. Obviously a much different system with a team that runs the ball very well with a great offensive line that he had at Georgia. So it's hard to know how he would look at a place like Florida State. And this is purely hypothetical anyway. I would be surprised if he's interested at all in Florida State, but I would not be surprised if Florida State was interested in him. Like you wouldn't turn that down just to not hurt Jordan Travis's feelings. You just wouldn't. That's not how sports works. I don't know. Look, I don't think he'd come here not to back up anyone, but he might not be scared of Jordan Travis either, or somebody of that ilk. With somebody like JT Daniels, man, especially with these receivers you brought in, I certainly think I would take him in a heartbeat over AJ Duffy or Tate Rodemaker. Clearly, right? Not that Duffy can't be great, but he would not be great against LSU in the Superdome. JT Daniels wouldn't melt in the moment. AJ Duffy might. A lot of initials there. So yeah, I mean, I know, again, hypothetically, I know you guys know that I'm a fan of Jordan Travis, especially considering what this program would have looked like without him the last 2 years. But that does not mean he's above competition or he's above reproach where you not dare hurt his feelings by bringing in another quarterback. I mean, if you get a chance to get a guy like Caleb Williams or JT Daniels, one's better than the other, but you know what I mean? You wouldn't say no just because you don't want to hurt Jordan Travis's feelings. You go get the best player you possibly can. You go try to get a difference maker, and maybe you go find one in the portal. My thought when we talked about this earlier in the week is that you're just not going to find one of those guys. But if one of those guys is interested and wants to come, you absolutely you fly the NIL to him. NLI. God, those initials, man. It's tough, Aslan. You know what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm going to stop talking now, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we saw practice. I mean, we watched practice in the off season, or fall camp, and then we watched in-season practices too, man. It's tough. I mean, there's opportunities out there. I mean, you get your moments to run with the first team, but like we never saw like McKenzie or Chubba or Tate ever seize advantage and just have like a great week of practice. Like, we never just saw them throwing it all around the freaking field and completing passes and making the right reads. Like, we never saw that kind of stuff. So I don't know. Part of me is a little bit jaded about like, yeah, man, it's Jordan's job and there's no way he's going to really lose it. But I mean, I don't know. You bring in a guy like JT Daniels, bring in a guy that's like an adept, skilled passer, and he's able to string together a couple good practices and Jordan isn't. And then, maybe you got a competition on your hands. But yeah, I hate talking about this, and I'm not. This isn't like a knock on Mark or anybody. We're going to keep talking about this until kickoff. It's such a tough spot because they do have to get better at quarterback. But how do you realistically get better when you've committed yourself pretty much to one guy right now? So, you're asking somebody to kind of take a chance on you. And maybe it would be a guy like JT Daniels. Maybe it's a guy that's like, all right, man, I'm just, I got one last sort of shot in me. I'm going to bet on myself one last time. Because I don't think I don't think a guy's going to leave a place where he was second string as a freshman to come to Florida State and see if he can battle out the next 2-3 years. Has to be somebody who's probably been there, done that, and just thinks, all right, maybe the stars will align and I can pull this off. But there are not a lot of them in the
Yeah, but I think
right
we
now.
both think if JT Daniels wanted to come to Florida State, you're not turning him down.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Come and try to win the job.
Yep.
Beat out Jordan Travis, because if you beat out Jordan Travis, the offense is going to be better. If you're good enough to beat out Jordan Travis, that makes the football team better. It's not that we don't think Jordan Travis can be a good quarterback or is a good quarterback, but he's not the best quarterback in the country, and we don't know that he's better than JT Daniels. So if you had a shot to get a guy like that, absolutely. Our concern, again, is that you don't get a shot at a guy like that, because why would they come with an entrenched quarterback already in place? Even if you tell them, no, it's an open competition, they're going to want to go to like a Chubba Purdy goes to a school where at least there's no incumbent. And he knows he has a real chance to win the job, as opposed to kind of being behind an 8-ball by a guy that's been in the system for 2 years. But yes, they do need a quarterback. And if JT Daniels was on the market and wanted to come, you'd take him in a heartbeat. By the way, Stetson Bennett coming back to Georgia for another year, Aslan, as if, I don't know what, I didn't know there was any drama there, other than he just wanted to maybe start his life, like go start coaching. But it was crazy that was even announced. I mean, I assumed that all along, because he's not an NFL prospect, and he's due to make more money in NIL money as the national championship quarterback at Georgia than he could ever make in some minor league football.
Well said. All right, I don't even know how I thought we've been moving really well. I know we talked about a couple things before we dove into the mailbag, but I mean, we're about to hit our head on the hour mark, and we've got, I don't know, like 8 more questions left. So let's try to get 2 or 3 more. We'll come back to the rest of these on the Monday program with some wrap-up from the Miami game as well. And who knows, maybe they'll have another commit or 2 over the weekend. Who knows? Chase Puma isn't playing by the rules. First time on the mailbag, didn't follow the rules, Corey. So, I don't know. Should I skip him?
No, man, go ahead. But tell him what he needs to do next time if he asks another question. Or she.
Yeah. Hometown and the most famous person from your hometown. Whenever you're a first-time poster, those are the rules on the ponies. We continue. Wake up! Hey, Corey and Aslan. I'm feeling very optimistic with this football team right now. I trust Mike Norvell, and him going after a unproven, hurt running back says a lot, and I still trust him after taking Corbin the other year as well. We still have holes to fill on this team, and our coaching staff, but we can definitely say we can trust him. I mean, I'm not saying that he's distrustful, but I mean, again, a lot of you guys love this guy, so I don't want to ruin that for you. Absolutely, we can trust him. Also, basketball doing some amazing things. Hopefully we can go far in the tournament. Also, baseball, softball should be very exciting to watch this year. Did see D1 baseball. Shout out Jeff Cameron retweeting it on my timeline. I think Texas is the preseason number 1, and I think it was D1 baseball said that they think Florida State's pitching staff is probably on par with Texas. So that's very encouraging. Question, though, from Chase Puma. What are you most excited for in football this offseason and our other sports that are currently going on? Keep up the great work. Go Noles. I'm excited for the portal. I'm excited to see what they're going to do at quarterback. I just can't imagine they won't get a quarterback. So I will trust that they will get somebody that's going to be intriguing and could maybe win a game or 2, or at least play a good quarter or 2 while Jordan is getting his requisite x-rays but comes back and wins the game. So that's my football thing. Basketball, I can't wait to see what we're talking about in February. I think they're going to keep getting better. I think there's no backing down. There's no taking any steps back after what they've accomplished here the last week and a half. So that's super cool. Maybe I don't know how the ladies are doing, but Coach Sue's back. Hopefully Coach Sue Semrau can get the Lady Noles back in the tournament and make some noise. And softball, make it back to Oklahoma City, and I want to go to Omaha. That's what I'm most excited about. I'm most excited about to see, not the pitching. I'm excited to see what they're going to look like defensively up the middle. I feel like they got a new second baseman, new shortstop. That's super cool. They got the guy from Miami that apparently hits moonshots. So I'm excited for everything for baseball. I'm weird. I am. Like I do like baseball, Although I'm not a baseball guy, I do enjoy Florida State baseball season because it's summer and I get very nostalgic about my time as a student. Corey, your turn.
Yeah, you had it right with the portal. I mean, what are they going to, like we talked about, they're going to sign one more guy on the other signing day, like a high school kid, maybe one or two more. Everything else left to fill out this roster, and you got about 5 spots left, is portal. It has become a destination spot for kids in the portal. That seems evident. I mean, they're not getting just scrubs. They're not getting any old bodies. They're getting guys that are coveted. So, yeah, I would say that. And as far as the other sports, yeah, man, it's Florida State. They're all good. There aren't any sports that aren't good. In fact, you mentioned Sioux. They're struggling. I think they're 8-7 maybe. But there's some talent there. Hopefully they can figure that out because I think they were ranked in the preseason. They have some talent. It just hasn't clicked yet, but hopefully it does because they have the potential to maybe pull off an upset or two in the NCAA tournament if they get there. Right now they're on the outside looking in, so hopefully they can turn that around because they usually that's all Sioux does is make the NCAA tournament. So hopefully she can again this year. And yes, baseball team, I think D1 baseball had Florida State at 11th maybe.
Okay.
In the country, which is about right. They don't have enough proven offense, but yeah, their arms are no joke, man. It's one of the best. If they stay healthy, it's one of the best pitching staffs Florida State has ever had.
Chase Puma finishes with keep up the great work. Go Noles. Thanks, Chase. S. Quinn 67. Wake up. Great call-in show on Wednesday. No, Tuesday we did it. Yeah, he just said, just read the words that are on your screen, Aslan. Wake up. Great call-in show earlier this week. Thanks for cutting in the Duke postgame segment. You're welcome. My crew was texting during the game, and we were all pumped about the trajectory of the basketball team. Hopefully, Coach Ham can keep the train rolling. March Madness, here we come. By the way, can't wait for New Orleans. Question for the week. If you could enact, Aslan can't even talk today, everybody. If you could enact one new rule for college football, what would it be? Would you change the early sign day? Would you limit NIL to maybe second players and older? Would you set a date range for entering the transfer portal? None of the above. What would you do to improve the sport? Thanks again for the great shows. S. Quinn, class of 93. Wow, if we could enact only one rule. If I had to pick from your list, yeah, the early signing day. Let's just go back to February. I don't know why we ever changed it. Somebody's going to comment, tweet at me, this is why they changed it. I don't care. They should have never done it. It made no sense, especially with the way coaching is going now. I guess that's an unintended consequence. Maybe we didn't see that on the horizon. They were just going to start coughing up millions of dollars to dump coaches in November and figure it all out later. But that's what happens all the time now, and you're screwing it all up with this early signing day. But I do want to see your Commissioner Clark's, one of his main tenets. I do want to see the television revenue somehow get balanced. I think it's being a little naive, again, that we think the SEC is going to hamstring themselves so that Arizona State and Washington State can have an equal piece of the pie or a similar size seat at the table. But it feels like that's the only way to really keep collegiate sports, have some kind of spirit and soul, man. You need parity, and the closer we get to professional sports, we have to take their model, which is salary caps, spending limits. So, I mean, we need to limit the amount, either cap stuff or make everybody have an even amount of distribution from all the television dollars coming in there. That's all I can think of right now. Corey, say something more eloquent and more relevant and better.
I'm going to stick on the field, not off the field,
okay.
And I get rid of the ejection for targeting. That is the first order of business. If I'm talking about stuff on the field, that is absolutely the first thing I go after. It is a travesty. It is a joke. It makes no sense. It has not. The ejection is so punitive. The penalty is what matters. The penalty is what players care about, and they are trying, and they've gotten better. But these random, collisions where a quarterback or a running back ducks his head at the last moment, and the guy was diving at his midsection, but now his helmet has hit his helmet, and now he has to miss a game, or like Jamie Robinson had to miss the first half against Notre Dame this year because he did it in South Carolina's last game. It's just preposterously stupid. It makes no sense. Just do the NFL model. If it's egregious and it's intentional, eject them. Otherwise, it's a penalty. That's it. There you go. All the other stuff we talk about a lot. And you summed it up really well, Aslan. But I hate the ejection for targeting.
Yeah, I'm in the minority. I don't. I just think that they have to change the way you play defense, the way you look at an opposing player, and the way you try to bring them down. It is a bummer that people.
Yeah, but
get
like
ejected.
the NFL, remember the NFL?
Let me
back
ask you
when
this: so you said you think it's getting better. Listen, I don't really remember how much targeting was going on in 1994 or 2004. But that's the thing. I mean, if you do think they're getting better at it, if you do think that they're checking up, they're not headhunting as much as they used to, then it's really hard to argue against it, because that has to be in the back of your mind. Like, I cannot screw this up because I will let my team down. And since they're not getting paid salaries, they can't have like the NFL, because you get fined, man. A lot of these guys, they stay in the game, and then they get fined $15,000-$20,000. Let's see if these kids would rather lose $5,000 or have to sit out a half of football. But carry on.
I feel like the coaches will pay that for them. No, but that was what I was going to say about the NFL. You remember we were growing up, they used to have the he got jacked. Well, I can't remember what that segment was on ESPN.
Yep. You got jacked
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, yeah, I mean, they were incredibly vicious hits when we were growing up. You don't see that as much anymore in college football and the NFL. But again, the NFL has managed to do it without ejecting players, because I really do think just making it a penalty is punitive enough, and I think that's what by and large has. Otherwise, people still get ejected once a game, it seems like, or once every couple games. I just don't. If you can judge intent, you can. And people say you can't. Yes, you can. You can judge intent. We've seen intentional spearing, intentional targeting, which the guy should be ejected, and I'm all for. You see the Trey Marshalls of the world that tackle a guy and he runs into his helmet and he gets ejected. It's preposterous. There's nothing he could have done. Like that, I guess my point is that happens in football. Other than just taking your helmet off, occasionally your helmet is going to hit somebody else's helmet. So I like that and I also think that concussions have played a part too. The war on football, that quote unquote, that people talked about a decade ago. I think that has had a lot to do with better tackling and not the vicious hits that we're used to. I just think most of these ejections are just pure horse hockey. That's not a word. That's not even a phrase. Nobody says that. Horse manure. And I think it's too punitive. That's all. That's all, Aslan. What if Jermaine Johnson had gotten ejected for targeting in the second half against Florida? Does he miss his first NFL game? It's all nonsense. It's all nonsense. The penalty is what matters. But you remember back when they started this stupid rule, and they would go to video review to see if it was actually targeting, and if it wasn't, the kid could stay in the game, but the penalty still counted.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Oh yeah. They're getting better. They're trying.
That was dumber than this. I mean, they've done so many dumb things. Hopefully somebody will figure this out, because nobody is for the ejection of a non-intentional targeting. I don't think. Most people aren't anyway.
I think they should limit the amount of fourth downs you can go for, much like timeouts. Hot take. Hot take. Last question.
What's the number? 5? 5 a game or 3 a game?
No, 3. Max. 3. Maximum.
Oh, you love punts.
I just love football. Well, we're watching basketball on grass now. It's ridiculous. I remember what you said when you think about criticizing Norvell or your team going for it on fourth down. Think about it the other way. The opposing team is lining up for fourth down. Are you excited that they're doing it, or are you not? And that kind of lets you know whether or not it's a good decision. The sport's losing its soul when it comes to strategy with all this, we're just going to keep going for it. We're going to get it. This sounds crazy, and I've never wanted to say this out loud, but I'm going to say it out loud. Listen, there's rules of engagement in war. Like, you didn't go after the general. Like, the general was not allowed to get killed in battle. Like, you cannot go, you just stopped them. There's got to be some sort of gentleman's kind of thing where it's like, all right, man, we just went knuckle up 3 plays. We won it. Give us the ball. It's our turn now. There has to be some kind of spirit of that in football still, where it's like, yeah, man, there are quote unquote 4 downs, But no, man, we stopped you 3. You're supposed to punt. That's the way we've been doing it for all time. Stop trying to change it, all you nerds who never played football. Coming from a nerd who never played football.
I thought you just weren't supposed to shoot the medics. The generals, I feel like that's priority 1.
I don't think
it's
so.
The head of the snake.
I don't think so. I think like
I'm just saying if I'm in battle and I see the general, I'm going for him and then seeing what happens. Like they don't have their leader anymore. They might just throw down their weapons and we can get on with our day.
Yeah, but see, like, Napoleon didn't die in battle.
Intent.
Napoleon didn't die in battle. Patton didn't die in battle. Freaking, although, I mean, the United States was kicking ass in World War II.
I just thought that was because they weren't on the front lines. They were giving the orders, not following the orders.
Yeah, but they're out there though. Sometimes. I mean, I'm thinking like Braveheart era. They're on the hillside. They're but like no one's like, all right, like I'm gonna divert and gonna climb up this freaking hill on my steed and decapitate the general. I don't know. I could be totally wrong on that. Nonetheless, I still don't like all this. And I kind of hear you on the fourth downs.
I kind of hear you on the fourth downs. I think that these coaches were in the Stone Age forever, and I think there is a gray area. They were in this, like Bobby Bowden would have the best offense in the country. It's 4th and 3 at midfield with Danny Cannell, Warwick Dunn, Rock Preston, E.G. Green, and he's punting.
Because he has honor.
What are you doing that for? You get 4 downs for a reason. You don't have to punt. 3 yards, you average 7 yards a play. 3 yards ain't much. So I think it's and that wasn't just to criticize Bobby Bowden. They all did it back then. They all punted all the time. But yes, now that it's reverse course for some people, like I can't remember who the NFL coach was. It might have been a playoff game or a game to get in the playoffs where he went for it on his own 18 and didn't get it, and then they lost the game. That stuff is a little bonkers. But by and large, yeah, I've never really understood the wanting to punt from the other team's 41-yard line when it's 4th and 5. That's all. Like you get a chance, go, and they don't want you to. They want you to give them the ball.
Yes.
So, Norvell, like we had a story on the website a few days ago. Norvell's 4th down decisions, you can nitpick with a good many of them. I don't even know if it's nitpicking. But I like the overall sentiment of on the other side of the field, 4th and manageable, don't just give the other team the ball if you feel like your offense can go score a touchdown. That's all.
All right, last one. Drill Sergeant Porter. Wake up. With this being Coach K's last season, will that move Coach Hamilton to the top of the coaches list in the ACC? I know both coaches at Syracuse and Virginia have won national titles, but Syracuse won theirs nearly 20 years ago and has done about nothing since joining the conference and hasn't produced near the NBA talent, which that is a crazy thing. Or like Syracuse, who's the last great pro that Syracuse developed? Not even developed, but just had. With Virginia, they did lose to a 16 seed, and they haven't had the same amount of NBA talent either, or been nearly as consistent of a program. Okay, that's part one of his question. I mean...
Yeah, I would say, look, Boeheim is a Hall of Famer. It is beyond time for him to go. I don't know how the Syracuse folks are putting up with it. That guy's been coaching there for over 40 years. And the only reason his team is even competitive this year is because of his offspring. Nobody comes and plays for him anymore. 2 of his 3 best players are his kids. And his best player is his son. Like without those kids, without his sons there, they'd be one of the worst teams in Division I. I mean, they're not good anyway. And with those, I mean, it's just ridiculous what they used to be and what they are now. So it's like he's helping them hang on. Those kids are helping him hang on, but you would have to think once they're gone, he's gone. And at some point, 15 and 14 and 17 and 13 isn't good enough at Syracuse anymore, no matter what that guy's done for you. But he was a great coach, and he's been there forever. And then, yeah, man, you can't poo-poo a guy that's won a national championship. I hate the way Virginia plays. I hate it. I think it's bad for the conference and bad for the sport. But he did win a national championship, and he is a very good coach. They're not good this year, but they're usually really good. They're almost always, for 5, 6, 7 years, they were a top 5, top 10 type program, top 15 at least. He's a very good coach who plays an awful system. But after, I assume Boeheim's going to retire at some point before Leonard. Who knows, man? Who knows? But then Leonard would be the elder statesman in the ACC coaching ranks after that happens.
But yeah, sadly, I mean, he'll never be considered the best coach in this conference unless he wins a national championship. But
yeah, if he got to like multiple Final Fours or something here to end his career, yeah, that would certainly help. But otherwise, yeah, no, but look, man, he's been in a conference with until this year 4 guys that had won national titles with Kay and Roy Williams and Tony Bennett and Boeheim. I mean, if he was in the SEC, he'd be the second best coach. In other conferences, he might be the best coach. So it's just, yeah, the ACC's had a run of some pretty successful coaches here lately.
And then the last part of his question, nothing to do with FSU, but it's a fun question, and it is. I can certify it. And I'm not even joking. I was thinking about this a few days ago, and I had a funny idea, and I've now forgotten it, so clear it wasn't good. But Drill Sergeant Porter asks, what would you name the Washington football team since it is set to be announced early February? Thank you both. Go Noles. It was funny. I promise you it was funny, everybody. I think it was an adjective. I don't even think it was a noun. What about you, Court? Do you have one off the top of your head for the Washington football team?
What about the Redskins? You think they'd go back to that? You know, the thing about that is when you talk about things that play tricks on your brain, is like, I don't ever remember even care. I'm perfectly happy with them changing their name. That is a slur. It is different than the Seminoles. But I still really have to catch myself from not calling them that.
Oh, yeah.
Like my son, Brady, he just calls them the Washington football team. Like it was an easy transition for him. It's like, yeah, the Washington football team, WFT. How about the WTFs?
There you go.
They could be the WFT, because that's been their franchise for the last 20 years is WTF. So yeah, might as well be that. But yeah, I still catch myself saying it. It's hard to not. It's like the San Diego Chargers.
Yep.
I can't stop doing it. I try not to, but I can't stop doing it. Hey, by the way, I thought Mark had a Cobra Kai question.
Oh, he did. Yeah, we'll go back to that. Good job, Corey. Way to remember that. Let's see, who loves you, Mark? Corey loves you. It is crazy.
So I'm on record with the WTFs.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. If I can think of it again, Drill Sergeant Porter, I'll mention it on the show. It is crazy though that I actually get more tripped up saying Los Angeles Chargers than I do Washington football team. Like it sounded so absurd, and it is not changing it, but the fact that you're like, okay, we don't know what we want to be, so we're just going to go by this for now. But it is almost, it's been normalized to me where I'm like, all right, the Washington football team. Like, that's just what it is. But when they first are like, all right, we're going to change our mascot. But in the meantime, we want to be known as the Washington football team. It's like, are you serious? They are. All right.
I feel like it's kind of like this is more of a soccer culture now too, though. So it's a little easier because isn't that like all these things are like a football club?
Right.
The so-and-so football club. So it kind of, there's other franchises and other sports that sound like that, but yeah, it's not easy out of the mouth. The Washington football team. That's not easy. It's a mouthful.
Corey, since you are watching a lot of streaming shows, this is Mark again from down in Naples. Have you seen Cobra Kai season 4? Must watch for those of us who grew up with the original Karate Kid. I haven't seen any of these Cobra Kais, but my buddy Mercedes Mike absolutely loves it, and my buddy Matt too. Both are like, "Oh, Cobra Kai is awesome." I don't think I can get into it, but so many of my friends are into it, so maybe I should trust you guys. Have you seen Cobra Kai season 4, Corey?
I have. I like they made a couple changes and had a couple new characters, including Eric Young, who used to be a Major League Baseball player, and is now the first base coach for the Braves. His kid is the newest member of the show, and he's really good. He's a really good actor, and his story arc is probably what's going to carry the show the next 2 years. But yeah, man, I think I'm about through with it, honestly. Like I liked it; it was fine, but it's like, I don't know that I can keep watching these same kids. Number one, they all look like they're 26, and they're supposed to be juniors in high school. Like I don't know that I can keep watching these same 4 or 5 characters just throw kicks at each other for a whole nother season. At least they introduced new characters, but also Daniel LaRusso kind of sucks. He's like, you rooted for him in the original. You're like, all right, man, you dropped Johnny. Good job. And now you're like, man, I wish Johnny would kind of kick your ass, Daniel. You're not a good guy. You're not good to be around. You never listen to him. You never listen to your daughter. All you do is talk about Miyagi over and over. It's like, all right, man, enough. Let's live. We're in 2022, buddy. We're not catching flies with chopsticks anymore. Miyagi was a great man, but let's move on. Let's adapt. And the show was fine. It'll never, to me, be as good as the first season just because it was so surprisingly good, and you really did care about Johnny Lawrence, that actor, William Zabka, maybe.
Boom.
He does a really good job. He's a good actor, man. It is crazy what happened to him. Like, he was a big star. Well, he wasn't. He was sort of a big star in the 80s, but he always played the bully. But he's a good actor. He's a much better actor than Ralph Macchio, in my opinion. And, like, his career just went nowhere. And then he gets resurrected 25 years later or whatever with this show, and he's really good in it. So from that standpoint, it's cool that he's getting his second dose of fame and notoriety. But, good show, good season. I just was at the end of the fourth season. It's like, I don't know that I'm going to care about these high school kids much anymore. It's run its course. It's run its course, and let me know if Dutch from the movie comes back, because he was my favorite character in the whole movie. He's the one that said in the locker room, "Points or no points, you're dead meat." And the way he would hold his little robe or whatever they call him when he would fight, like big tough. And he's Steve McQueen's son. That guy, that actor.
Really?
He's the only one that hasn't come back from the original movie. I don't know what the deal is there, but yeah, that's way too much on Cobra Kai. Have watched it, liked it. I recommend it. Go watch it. But after 40 episodes, that crew of kids, I'm ready for them to go graduate.
Didn't one of the guys die in real life? That was part of Cobra Kai, not like in the original movie, and I don't think he ever made onto the remake because I think he'd already passed away by then. It's not Dutch though, so I'm like, maybe Dutch is the guy. Maybe that's why he hasn't been on the show. But no, I think he's still alive.
No, they had the guy that yelled, "Use him as a body bag."
No,
he came back in season 2 or season 3. And he did have cancer. I think he died of cancer.
Yes.
He did die.
Okay.
But that was part of his arc. Like, he came back and had a 2-show arc, and they had one last hoorah, the Cobra Kai guys. But Dutch wasn't there. I don't think they've even mentioned Dutch. Even Elizabeth Shue came back.
Ooh.
But no Dutch. In his girlfriend from Okinawa came back, but not Dutch. I wish they would address that, Aslan. Get on that, folks. Figure out what's going on with Dutch.
I might rewatch it just to see how Elizabeth Shue looks now. I liked her a lot. Adventures in Babysitting. Also, I think I said it 2-3 years ago. Shout out to Christy Brinkley. Every year, she posts some sort of photo on social media, and then a national outlet will tweet it or put on somewhere where it's like, you got to see how great 67-year-old Christy Brinkley looks. I don't know that she's 67, but she's amazing. Good for her. All right, we're done. That's it. We'll be back.
Yellow Jackets too, Aslan. Yellow Jackets. I'm gonna keep pimping that show. It is a good show, folks. It's on Showtime. Juliette Lewis, Christina Ricci.
I don't want to get in trouble.
I'm telling you, man. Don't diminish it until you watch it. It's a good show. It's a fun, good, captivating, half 1996, half present day show with a little bit of Lord of the Flies sprinkled in with a live and a regular, almost adult drama. So, and it's funny. So go watch it. It's a good show. I promise everyone.
Okay. Corey said so. Don't forget, Florida State plays Miami on Saturday. We'll have a show Monday. We'll get to the rest of the questions in the Renegade Express. And if there's any recruiting news, we'll also include it into the podcast, I'm sure. But you don't have to wait for that. If it happens on Saturday or Sunday, we'll have it on our YouTube page. So stay connected to warchant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source. This has been Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee. Come explore our world of coffee. DeLuna Coffee features over 24 different blends. DeLuna's unique roasts can be delivered ground finely for drip coffee makers, coarse for the craft crowd, untouched as a whole bean, or even in convenient K-Cups. Founded in 2014 by the Lemmix family, Ed and Brett are FSU alums and boosters who are extending a special offer to all listeners. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 for a 15% discount. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.